let's flip a coin. Head Carolina, tails California, somewhere greener, somewhere warmer.
Okay, it's Andy Graham with Hobo Traveler. I'm in Sarajevo, Bosnia and Herzegovina. I'll be able to say this really good by the time I leave this country. I'm out here on one of the main roads, and there's a tram right there, and we got a bunch of cities. It looks a little beat, guys, but I'm in the city, and it's actually a very happy city. And funny as it gets, a lot of these places that you would think are a lot of people, all they can think about is Bosnia is the war zone, and it's not a war. Okay, I'll sit down now and try to answer a question. I got my glasses on because I can't see that to read these things. I used to print these out in countries that are cheaper, but here, by the time you print it out, it take you 4 hours to do it. So I've been actually putting them on my Kindle. It's a PDF file I print on a Kindle. Trouble is, I can't get the print big enough to read. Okay, Clark, I've been traveling for 93 countries, and I've done it for non-stop. I don't have a home, I go anywhere and everywhere, and I'm always living in a hotel. I'm traveling for 16 plus years. Okay, Clark Chi asks, hello Hobo, I'm a 55-year-old guy living in the Philippines, living with a squatter with my wife. My wife used to work for Air 21 FedEx, trying to make a little more money than $5 to $10 a day running a sari store. Anyway, your wealth of information, I'm giving you what country besides the US would you choose to make some extra money? What country besides the US? That's a very difficult. Canada, of course, is easy, but it's the same as the USA. It is very difficult to find a job overseas. I think the general, right now, the easiest places to do it would be like the Philippines, where there's a lot of English speakers. So, first of all, I would go to countries that speak English. Clark, that would be, the Philippines, maybe India, but India is going to be almost impossible. England, but it could be the Caribbean islands a little bit. But 90% of you guys are going to find a job in the tourist industry or working in restaurants. And so if you want to work in a restaurant and you're capable of doing that, that's the best way to find a job. South Korea is a great place to teach English, so is Japan. And if that's probably the place where you'd say the most people work and they actually make money enough to live. So being that you're in the Philippines, you could go to but being that if you're an English speaker living in the Philippines, there's all these Koreans that come over there that you could teach English to. So you might want to put up a sign that says teaching English. That is the best way. Korea and Japan are the places where most people make enough money to actually live kind of a normal life, and they're teaching English. There's a lot of people that start restaurants and they start hotels all over the countries. Obviously, that's the closer to a tourist area you are, the better it is. You're not going to. The reason why my website is called hobotraveler.com. Hobo is not a tramp. He's not a bum. A bum, it doesn't work. A tramp travels but doesn't work. A hobo is a transient worker that went from place to place, and it was so appropriate when I defined this website because it was I was trying to find somebody. Hobo is a person that searched for a job, and that's what I was doing at the time. I was searching for a way to make enough money to travel. If I was going to just go work in a country, I would go get a job managing a hotel. Okay, I would go up to a hotel, and especially in a country like China or even Thailand, they often like somebody that can speak English to their clients. So that's always going to be your biggest aptitude thing, is that you can talk to somebody. if that's not your capability, then it gets more difficult. I have seen in some of the Caribbean islands and stuff where people actually do construction work, and I know that I could go into Dominican Republic, for example, and I could remodel houses. These guys go build their, or even in Panama, Costa Rica, or Ecuador, you could go to these places where all these Americans are and work construction work. The labor force is not capable of doing the quality of work that Americans. Like in Dominican Republic, there was a lot of Russians building cabinets inside houses, because the guy wants to build $1 million house. He don't really want a bunch of bullshit cabinets, right? He wants the good cabinets. And if you have these skill sets, you can do it. If you're just looking for the normal go to work, somebody pays you a paycheck, that's going to be difficult. Everything's about self-employment, and you're going to have to self-define your job. In the Philippines, I suppose it's going to be very difficult. It's going to be very difficult to do it, but I would definitely go to places like Baguio or anywhere there's you know, this sounds bad, but if you go to Angeles City, where it's just full of, you know, men, you know, buying women, there's going to be a lot of jobs more for a person that speaks English. And obviously it's not the best type of person in a way to do it, but there's a lot of Americans living there, a lot of Germans, and they need people that can do things that they can trust. And so what you're really selling is English and trust, because, you know, at the end of the day, we're going to trust our own culture a lot quicker than we're going to trust another. It's a difficult thing, and I'm not going to say it's easy at all. It's one of the most difficult things you'll do is trying to find a job overseas that makes enough money. The highest ones are teaching English in South Korea and Japan, but being that you're in the Philippines, see, a lot of these Koreans come to Philippines to get discount thing. My one friend, you can actually go work in a call center in the Philippines, and then you could be a manager in a call center. That would be a real good job in the Philippines, but that's probably going to make you live in, you know, there's a lot of them there. One of my friends owns a bunch of them, and he's an American becoming a millionaire owning call centers. But they need managers, and they need managers that can deal with raw English at full speed, right? So I would say if you want to stay in the Philippines, might look to be a call center manager. But it's going to force you to maybe live in Cebu, right in the big city, or Manila, or one of these major things. But just search for call centers, and they're all over the Philippines. I know where many of them are in Manila. He has another question here. Anyway, the wealth extra money. Last question. You stated Thailand is nice and cheap. Thailand is cheaper than the Philippines by really about half the price. I'm making visa runs to HQ, Hong Kong, Singapore, and Malaysia. That's after you stay there about 12 months. I think you have to do this. I would like to add Thailand to the list. Is it possible to get a cheap flight to Thailand? Yeah, from Clark Air Force Base to Clark Base to, I don't know exactly. But the way to do this is get on Wikipedia and or just search on Google for list of low-cost carriers. List of low-cost carriers, and you want to get on it's probably going to be Air Asia that's going to do it, the cheapest. But Cebu Pacific flies there cheap, pretty cheap, you know. But you get on list of low-cost carriers, then you're going to go down to the Philippines page, you're going to go down to the Thailand page, and you're going to find out which airlines are going cheap over there. Then you're going to look for a special. So you basically would start looking for, like, you know, maybe special fares. Or Tiger Air flies there, flies around. I don't know how they're going to do it, but which one, and it changes all the time, right? But if you get on a list of low-cost carriers, it's going to show you these really highly discounted airlines that you can go from place to place with. And but sometimes I just go to the airport and walk around and look at all the signs. So if I was in Manila or Clark, I would walk around and see which airlines are in there, because sometimes the airlines that are in the airport, you can't even find them on the internet. I don't drink or gamble. I try to eat right. I'm not a fat slob like the majority of the USA. That's good. I hope I helped you. This is a very difficult question, especially finding a job. But always remember that list of low-cost carriers, and before you buy any ticket, anybody buying a ticket, plane ticket, should get on there and see if there's any airlines they're not, because they got the published fare, then they got the discount fares, and these discount airliners aren't always picked up in Kayak or Skyscanner or Orbitz or these, and for a good reason. They sell things at a $30 ticket. It's hard to make. Well, they're going to make a $1 commission. Well, if they get you to take the 400 flight with American Airlines, they're going to make a $20 commission, right? So they're outside the loop. They're outside the box or someplace else. I just flew from Norway, 2 hours and 20-minute flight or something, to Croatia, and it cost me $33. I bought a ticket from southern Turkey to Istanbul, which is quite a distance, but it cost me $17. Now the way they're going to try to make money on me is to trip me up and make me pay for my bag. That's why I don't have any luggage here, guys. Cebu Pacific is the way I've usually flown from Bangkok to Manila, but there's cheaper ways, and there's, I think, Phuket. See, these are two boom countries. They're prostitute countries. So you got Angeles City to Phuket. So they're like going prostitute to prostitute, because Phuket's full of prostitutes. And so you got these guys like Cebu, Phuket, and they're going to the Philippines, and they're going back and forth, and they're like the whoremongers route, I guess you say. But I usually am in Khao San Road, which is a bunch of young backpackers. It's a tough thing, and just keep believing that it's possible. That's the thing. Is when most of the people are going to be surrounded by a bunch of people that aren't very savvy, and they're not going to believe that's possible. It's always possible to get a $10 room, and it's always possible to get a cheaper flight than your person next to you. I mean, I flew to Europe here for $350, and I'm flying home for about $420. And how do I pay for it? I also pay for it in inconvenience. It's not quite as convenience. It's just ending my trip where I want to end it, and then just flying out. And that's just a crazy way to do things. You got to choose your ingress, egress, and you got to choose the right hub, because it's a hub-to-hub jump. But difficult. Okay, Andy Graham, Hobo Traveler. Of course, anybody can buy consultation, and it'd be helpful. And some of these projects, if you just wanted me to do the research, you could pay me to do the research. Andy Graham, Hobo Traveler. Subscribe to my travel blog by getting on hobotraveler.com, clicking on Andy's blog, and putting your email in the thing, and confirming you're going to get an email, and you're going to have to say, yes, I received this email, and I'm wanting to subscribe. Okay, Andy Graham, hobotraveler.com.